Now. Okay, hi. So today what we're looking at is we're looking at demand and supply. Okay.
Okay.
And we're going to look at how to look at demand and supply in an economy and then how prices are determined. All right. So
Yeah.
let's start with demand. Okay. And with demand, what we're going to do is the following. So let's take any product. Student, what product could you think of? Can you think of a product?
An iPad?
Very good. Okay. Okay, let's take something. Okay, so let's take an iPad. Okay. So how much does an iPad cost?
Around 10,000,
Okay, so rupees 10,000. Okay, maybe. Okay. Now
maybe.
it's an iPad. Okay. Now the question is it legible what I'm writing?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what do you think? Let's say in Delhi, just as an approximation, how many iPads do you think are purchased?
Um, like at least 100,000
Okay,
more,
so
maybe.
1,000, so 1 lakh, right?
Yeah.
Per year, this is per year, do you think?
Not per year, maybe like per 2 years. I
Per
don't
2 years.
know.
So let's keep it as 50,000
Yes.
per year. Okay. So we just are looking at these numbers for a reason. Okay. So we're going to
Okay.
put up some concepts out here. Okay. So let's say this is an approximation. Now,
Yes.
what do you think affects how many laptops are sold or demand? So let's say how many are sold. So what we're going to do first for demand, we define demand in the following way. It is the willingness and ability. So what I'm trying to do is in an economy, in a market, now a market could be anything, okay? A market
Yes.
could be, the market in in a colony, okay? A market could be, like South Extension, for example. It could
Yeah.
be, it could be, entire Delhi can be considered a market. All of
Hmm.
India can be considered a market. The entire world could be a market, right?
Okay.
Entire world, petrol, right? Gold.
Yes.
These are products which are they trade across the world and allowing for the difference in transport costs and some tariffs that the government might have put. Okay, the price of these products should be similar across the world. Simply
Okay.
because if they are traded openly, I mean there could be political restrictions, there could be other things, but other than that, okay. So in a market, what we are saying is when we service. A service could be what? Economic teachers, tutoring.
Yes.
Okay. It could be a haircut. It could be a holiday. It could be a nice movie. Okay. All right.
Okay.
TV show. I mean, TV show is something, again, it's a service in a way that they're providing. So when we look in an economy, we look at both goods. Goods are things in economics we define that you can physically touch. Okay. I mean, you
Yeah.
purchase, you could have purchased a house in the US. You can't, while you're sitting in India, you cannot touch them, but somebody can touch them.
Yeah.
And a service is something, like I said, a haircut, a pedicure, going for a laughter challenge, going to watch a comedy show in a club, going to
Yeah.
watch a play, all of these are services. Okay. So what we
Okay.
do is we look at what is the demand for something in particular. All right. So then we look at is we look at all the people who are part of the market. Okay.
Mhm.
And by the way, they're also labor markets. They're markets for machinery. So it may not be individuals, firms could be the potential consumers. The government could be somebody who's buying something. Right. So the type of people who are buying it, a corporation is buying it. Right. Or, the different entities could be buying it. What we're looking at is firstly, you have the ability to pay for it. Okay. When I'm
Okay.
something, I want to know who are the potential buyers. What is the demand for my good? Okay. So what I say is, firstly, do people have the ability to buy it? And secondly, their willingness. Now, I'm a vegetarian. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I can buy, you know, things that are not vegetarian, right? Food product. But I'm not willing. I'm not interested. So my, having the ability to pay is not going to count in the demand because I'm never interested in it. Okay. Suppose I
Oh.
hate horror movies. I get very scared. Actually, I do. Okay. When I watch a horror movie, I just start imagining. Then I can't sleep, properly for a
Oh
few
my
days
God.
after that. Okay. I get very
Yeah.
frightened. So what happens is if they're looking, how many, we are planning to do a horror movie show. And so they, person like me, they will not consider me because I'm just too scared to go. I mean, I might go, but let's say I'm not going to go also. Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's an ability to pay. Is this clear? Any questions
Yes.
so far?
No.
No. So what we do is we say, so I am a potential producer of a good, or I'm producing a good. So what I say is I want to see at different prices. Okay. I'm not yet saying what the price is, but if this were the price, how many people would buy? If this were the price, how many people would buy? If this were the price, how many units of my good would be people wanting to buy? That's it. Okay.
Yes.
Like, for example, you have a Taylor Swift concert coming up. Okay.
Okay.
So now people will say, so the people who are setting up the concert, they want to decide on the price of the ticket. Okay.
Yes.
So then they will go and find out, what are
So
in,
like
sorry?
no, like when the like if we look at concert tickets only as an example,
Yeah.
when the concert like first premieres, are the prices high or low?
Oh, wonderful. So what we'll do is when we put demand and supply together, we will discuss this question. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
okay.
Okay,
Yes.
because sometimes they get it, they price it too low. And the tickets sell out in 30 seconds. Be like,
Yeah.
what happened? What happened? Or it could be that they price it very high and half the seats are empty. Now,
Yeah, that's also true.
I know to a Swifty saying, that it goes empty, but suppose they market research tell them make a ticket 2.5 lakhs each.
Yeah.
Now, and then they end up having 50,000 seats. Maybe it'll sell out, maybe it won't. I don't know. Right? So it is a lot of people's job to estimate the numbers. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes what they do is they look at past data and they get these numbers. Sometimes they look at somebody who's selling something similar and they get the,
Yes.
or they look at a market in one country and try to estimate. So there's estimation. Okay. Now I
Yeah.
want to ask you the number of laptops that are sold in a year. Okay, in Delhi, or
Okay.
wish to buy, let's say. Do you think they'll go up if what is a competitor for a laptop? What could be a competitor for iPad?
An iPad, maybe a Mac.
A Mac. Okay, Mac. Okay. All right. So suppose the price of Mac reduces to half of what it is.
Then people will obviously buy a Mac.
They'll try. Some people will move to buying a Mac. Okay. Maybe all,
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends on how much people perceive these to be substitutes for each other. It also depends on the price of the iPad and the
Yeah.
price of the Mac. Okay. Now,
Yes.
suppose Taylor Swift says, I love my iPad.
Yeah.
Do you think more people will switch? People who might have been buying a Mac earlier who were Swifties, they might switch to buying an iPad.
They would.
They would, exactly, right? Now, suppose it came out that, iPad follows very good labor policies and they treat their workers very well and they
Yeah.
give a lot of holidays. And maybe a competitor is not doing that. Okay?
Yeah.
This is report. So report comes out, it ranks all the different manufacturers of similar products and gives them a score based on how well they treat their employees, how nicely they treat the environment, other thing like that. Okay, how much they give back to society. And it turns out that every year this comes out, and one year now iPad score goes up much higher. Higher score meaning better in this case. Okay, do you think
Okay.
people will switch to buying that?
Mm.
It is scoring much better. It is much more responsible towards.
Yeah, then people will buy it if it's
But what about in an economy? The economy suddenly starts booming. The economy
okay.
grows very, very fast. Do you think more
Yes.
people want to buy? Correct? Okay. Now, suppose the government, basically, let's say that at the same time, what happens is a lot more younger people are there. Okay. The,
Okay.
the economy is, there is a lot of, what should I say? The economy, younger, a lot of young people are born in an economy. Okay. In
Yeah.
a country, right? And now many of them, there was a boom, and now many of them are just entering college age or class 9 or 10. Okay, as compared
Yeah.
to yes. Do you think a lot more people want to buy iPads?
Um.
Among other things, they might buy other
Then
machines also, but you think iPad also people will want to because they're going to school, they're getting into higher
yeah, because then iPad. The thing is that it depends. Like if you have another option
right.
at like let's say a cheaper rate, then you'll obviously buy the other option if it does the same job. But if you don't, then and the iPad is like the best
Absolutely.
thing you can buy.
It's the top one, right? So let's say a lot more younger people from very well-off families are there.
Then they'll buy the iPad.
They'll buy. Okay. Now, the point of all of these things is that there are many, many, many things in economy that affect how much people want to buy of a particular good or service. Is this clear?
Yeah.
Now, as an economist, what are we trying to do? We are trying to plot this diagram. Okay. So we want to create, we want to create something which says a different. So I'm a producer of something. Okay. Can I control what Taylor Swift says? Maybe if I could hire somebody like Taylor Swift to advertise my product. Okay. That is one
Yeah.
thing. But maybe there are many things which are outside my control, right? So what do I
Yeah.
do? One thing that I do know, okay, is I can, of course, certain we'll at some stage we'll do market structures where the individual producer has no control over the price they charge, okay? But suppose they do, okay? So now what happens in
Yes.
this case is, let me just put this up here, okay? So what happens is that we know there are many, many things that influence how much you buy in an economy, right? A lot of people migrate to Delhi if I'm looking at the Delhi market, okay? A lot more universities open in Delhi, a lot more top schools open in Delhi, a lot of, corporations set up headquarters and the people come and then their children will go to school out here. All these things are there. So I know that there are many, many, many things that affect. So what I do is I divide these factors, the things that influence how much somebody is buying, into two groups. Okay.
Okay.
One group is the price of iPads itself. That's it. So the
Yeah.
price of the good in question. Okay. And everything else I put in another basket. Because I say the most important factor in, to consider, or the more, it need not be, but, let's say I'm saying the first kind factor, and I'm going to say one of the most important ones is the price of the good itself. The price of
Yeah.
what competitors are doing, somebody is, the iPad works with something else, the government is, promoting it. Somebody says, okay, all, school makes a rule that all school children have to have an iPad. I don't know, number of things. So what I do is I make an assumption. Now, in economics, the real world is very, very complicated.
Yeah.
So, when you look at science, right? In what is the science? What is an art subject, right? So we've always asked, is economics an art or a science? Okay. So actually, it's both. What is the science? A science is a subject, for example, where if you add chemical A to chemical B under certain pressure and moisture conditions, okay, you get chemical C today. Tomorrow, when you repeat it, you will again get chemical C. If you add chemical A to chemical B tomorrow, with the same pressure and moisture conditions, for example, and many other factors might be the same, you'll get chemical C. But in economics, one day you increase the price of something, okay? People buy
Yeah.
less. Next day you increase the price, so people are waiting to buy your product. You're like, what happened? Right? So it's
Yeah.
very difficult. The reason is there are many, many things going on at the same time. So what we do is we divide them into two, and the assumption that we make, it is something which you will use in later classes. It's something called ceteris paribus. Okay,
As in?
and it literally means it's a Latin term. It actually means other things equal. Okay, but what we use it in economics is other things remaining unchanged. So when I
Okay.
draw the demand curve that I'm going to draw now, it is on the assumption that Taylor Swift, has not said yet that I like iPads, or no study has come out about iPads, regarding how they treat their workers. Okay, and we assume that the number of school-going children or the people entering college in India is remaining the same as of now. Later on, we will bring these changes in. Is that clear?
Yeah.
But right now, for simplicity, we are assuming those to remain unchanged. So it is a term, ceteris paribus. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to hear about it. So when the demand curve that you draw and the law of demand, okay, which says, so what we say now when we say that everything else is remaining unchanged, then we draw the demand curve, okay. So first what do? We say, okay, let's take this, okay. So we say this is the price of iPads. Is that clear?
Yeah.
And now this is the quantity of iPads. Here we are looking at the demand curve, so it can be quantity demanded. Later on, we'll put in the supply curve, so I'm just putting quantity. Okay.
Okay.
Price of iPads. Okay. So now remember, we've taken everything else remaining constant. Okay. So let's say
Yes.
the price of iPads was 10,000 rupees. No, it was how much was it? How much was the price of an iPad? 10,000 rupees, right?
Yeah, 10,000.
Yeah, 10,000. And let's say that in a year, 50,000 are being bought in the market for Delhi. Okay,
Okay.
so that's it. Okay, so this is it. All right. So now, what I'm saying is, let me just let me just move this and take this a little further up, okay? And price of iPads, and I'll put in rupees, okay? INR, okay? All right, and then I can put the date, okay? 14th August 2026, okay? All right, now suppose the price went down. Just assume what would happen? Would want to buy it, less people? The price of an iPad has gone down. Will more people be wanting to buy it or more less people?
If the price of it has gone down, then more people want to buy it.
Absolutely. Now we have finished demand. The topic of demand is done. Now we just are adding up. Okay? So that's it. Okay. So let's say that now the price has gone down to, let's say, 5,000. It need not be a straight line, but we just do it for right now. Okay. So let's make it, let's say, 70,000. Okay. Or 75,000. Let's make it simple. And this is quantity of iPads. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, suppose I said the price went up. Let's say it went up to rupees 15,000. If the price was 15,000, do you think more people would buy it or less people would buy it?
Less people would buy it.
Yes, absolutely correct. Okay. Again, I've made up these numbers. Okay, 25,000. So what we do now is we get a demand curve.
How do we draw that?
This is my demand curve. I join all these points.
Oh,
A demand curve. Okay, so what I say is, let me just cheat a little bit. Okay, let me draw a straight line and then I put so in the book you will get, that's it. Okay, so this is 75,000. देखा कितनी neatly हो गया?
yes.
Okay,
Can I
and
do this in my exam, please?
yeah, and in that you'll get graph paper. You can do it. Okay, you might be
No,
given.
we won't. Our school hates us.
Okay, so now this is my demand curve.
Yeah.
Is this clear? Now, if I put these numbers in a schedule, so suppose instead of this, I've done it like this. Okay, suppose I said price out here and
Yes.
out here. I could have put this as a demand schedule, which is what? Price is what? Price is, let's say, 15,000. Quantity demanded is 25,000. Price goes down to 10,000. The quantity demanded is 50,000. Price goes down to 5,000. Quantity demanded is 75,000. Okay. Now this is a straight line, but it need not be a straight line. Okay. But it will be downward sloping. Why? There are many reasons.
Because
Yeah.
the higher the prices, the less people want to buy it, and the lower it becomes, more people buy it, like that.
More people. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. Do you understand this downward sloping demand curve? Now,
Yeah.
one other point, we're going a little bit beyond. Okay, in this situation, what we say is, suppose I name these points A, B, and C. Okay, so I name this point A. Okay, I name this point B, and I name this point C. So when I've drawn this demand curve on the assumption of ceteris paribus, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm keeping everything in that case, what we say is, when my price goes from 15,000 to 10,000, what am I doing? More people want to buy it, correct? When the price goes.
Yes.
So what I say is that this, actually, hold on, okay. I'll call this a change in quantity demanded. Okay, please note that we are going to be using, so like we have lingo, right? Every
Yeah.
has its own lingo, right? What is
Yes.
the thing about lingo? You can easily communicate with the other, right?
Yeah.
Without lengthy explanation. So in economics, we have lingo. Okay?
Oh,
So in
okay.
yeah, we have our own lingo. Okay? Yeah, you didn't think it was that cool, huh?
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Okay. So in the lingo, what we have is, we say that if the price goes down, set demand curve down ceteris paribus, we say it is a change in quantity demand, or in this case, it is an increase in quantity demand. Is this clear?
Yes.
And we do not say this is an increase in demand. Why? Because the entire demand curve has not shifted. Is this clear? Now,
Yeah.
this is very confusing. But go with me, trust me on this one. We are calling it a change in quantity demanded. Because you're moving down the same demand curve. Okay?
Yes.
Or if we moved, on the other hand, if we move from B to A, Okay. We move from point B to A. What has happened is the price has gone up, and so people are buying less, correct? Instead of wanting to buy
Yeah.
1,000, they're buying 25,000. We will call this a decrease in quantity demanded, or we call it a change in quantity demanded. Change.
Mhm.
But remember, quantity demanded, not demand. Okay?
Yeah.
We will reserve the term change in demand to something other than the price changing. Okay?
Mm.
It will result maybe in a change in price, but suppose I said outright, okay, Taylor Swift becomes a brand ambassador for iPad.
Yeah.
What will happen? When the price was 15,000 instead of 25,000, do you think more people will be wanting to buy it?
Yeah.
There you go. So in that case, what do we do? Okay. So
So
okay.
like basically it's also about like people who are influencing the demand,
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, absolutely. People are influencing all the time the demand. You know,
Okay.
all the time. I mean, advertising,
Yes.
right, is a full blast thing to influence demand.
Okay.
Companies spend a lot of effort, time, and research, and of course, resources in finding ways to increase the demand for their product.
Yes.
So Pepsi is being advertised by this one. That one is, some people, So basically, that is what it is. Okay. So that can increase demand. Clear? All right.
Yeah.
So we will consider all those things. Okay. But right now, does this make sense? So for demand, we've done three things. Okay. One is willingness and ability. Okay. So let
Yeah.
so it shows we are looking at the willingness and ability. And remember the example of, that I'm a vegetarian, okay? Doesn't matter what the price of chicken is. It goes up or
Yeah.
down. I'm not buying it. I'm not even part of this demand curve
Yes.
because I'm not willing to spend on it. Now, now let's look at the demand for, Mercedes or,
Yes.
Maybach or, some other more expensive car. There are a lot of very successful people who could afford it.
Yeah,
Have
but
the
they
ability.
won't.
But they're like, no, that's not me. I came
Mm.
from humble backgrounds. I would rather take the money that I would use to buy that car. Instead of that, I'll buy one, much cheaper car, and the rest of the money I'll give for, some noble cause, like children's education or
Yeah.
hospital. Agreed? Okay.
Yeah.
So, but willingness and ability, producers or potential producers, people setting up a Taylor Swift concert, all those people, they want to know what is the demand curve for Taylor Swift show tickets in Mumbai.
Okay.
Then they're going to try and price it in such a way that
That
is beneficial to them.
yes.
Right? So is this clear? A demand curve. So this is called a demand schedule. Okay? Demand schedule. Okay? And what we've done is there are many ways to look at this demand curve. Okay? Sometimes we can look at it as so let's start with assuming it's an individual's demand curve. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sometimes we can have a market. We'll do the market demand curve in a few minutes. Okay. But this is an individual's demand curve. All right. Now, why is it? Now, iPad, of course, is a big discrete, purchase, right? Now, let's suppose something else that you buy that you might buy many units of. Okay. Or
Yeah.
suppose I am a teacher, okay, in a boarding school. Okay. And my house, when I first started that school, was quite close to the campus. Now I
Mm.
get a house which is a bit far away. Okay.
Yes.
Right? So now I'm thinking, you know what? Why did I keep one iPad? No, suppose the iPad is 15,000 rupees. Okay. I buy one iPad. Okay.
Yeah.
I carry it with me to school. All right. And then what do? I carry it back home. But sometimes from school, I want to go, to the market on the way. Right. Or sometimes I'm going to some friend's house. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to do? And what to do? This is it.
Just take it with you.
I'll take it with me. But suppose the price becomes 10,000 rupees.
Yeah.
Suppose in the beginning, when I was going to buy a laptop, it was 15,000. Okay. Now
Yeah.
I bought one laptop.
Okay.
But now, okay, now think of it in two ways. One is that we are starting from time zero again. I'm joining the school. They say, man, your house is this, new. You're in some place called Oakland Getters, which is very far from campus. Earlier, used to be something called Dune View, which were like, not even the gate was 2 minutes, but that gate was locked. So let's say 8 minutes if I ran up the mountain, okay? Now
Hmm.
it's going to take me 45 minutes every morning. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, what am I going to do with my iPad? I'm going to keep carrying it up and down, no? Put it here, put it there, leave it in the car, then carry it here. But what to do, I buy. But suppose before I started the job, actually the price was 10,000 rupees. I said,
Yeah.
why didn't I buy two? One I'll keep in my office and one I'll keep at home. Now I don't have to bother about carrying it here and there. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, that's it, right? So, but for 15,000, I was willing to buy only one. But for
Okay.
10,000, I'm willing to buy two. Okay. Now, so that is it. Okay. Another thing that we look at, okay, does that make sense, this part? Okay. We'll just
Yeah.
go into this a little bit more and then we'll, stop, go on to the market or, the shift. We can, pick one of the two to do that. Okay. All right. So now what we do is, suppose instead, think of something that you, shoes. A lot of my students give shoes as examples.
Yeah.
Shoes fascinating?
No.
No. What else would you like to buy which you have many? Okay, so you like, let's say, paints. Okay. Let's
Yes.
think of the most expensive, watercoloring of, paint set that you can think of. Tell me.
Um, not exactly a paint set, it's a color pencil, like Prisma colors.
Spell it out.
P R
P R
I S M A colors.
R, then one vowel? No.
Prisma
Oh, Prisma. Okay.
color.
Color. Okay.
One word.
Sorry?
It's one word.
Oh, Prisma color. Okay. Spelled American style or British style?
British.
Okay, so there is a U also, huh? Prisma color. Okay. Now, how much does a box cost?
Around like 12,000.
Okay, so price. Okay. Of one box of how many color pencils in that?
24.
24 pencils, okay? 24 pencils, okay? And this price is in rupees, Indian national, okay, INR, okay? And let's say this is your individual, you know, demand curve for you, okay? So let's say the box you said costs around 12,000 rupees, right?
Okay.
I'm asking, you told me, right? How much does it cost?
12,000.
12,000. So let's say you buy one box, okay? Of Prisma color pencils, okay? 24 box set, right? Okay, all right, okay. All right, so now suppose instead of the price being 12,000, in a year, how many such boxes do you think you'll go through because you like to draw, for example?
I think only one.
Only
One or
one.
two.
But if you had more money, would you like to have two boxes and do many more paintings, or one is more than enough? It lasts a long time.
They last like for 2, 3 years. So I don't
Okay, so let me
wouldn't.
take another example. Okay, let me take my favorite example. Okay, which all my students know I fall for all. It comes down to that ultimately. Okay, no matter how much I do other examples, this is it. Okay, so let's do limca. Okay,
Limca.
yeah, the drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so limca. Okay, quantity of limca. Okay, now in economics we have something called utility. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, which is the usefulness you get from something. Okay. Earlier economists believed they would actually give numbers to this utility. Okay.
Okay.
Or utils. Okay. That is how they studied it. But we don't really need that. Okay. All we need
Right.
is that you can give some number, it doesn't matter what number. Okay. But we are wondering how this utility changes as you get more and more of something. All right. So suppose I told you, like this happened with us. Okay. We went for some, project in the middle of the desert. Okay. And we had
Yes.
to walk, interview villagers along the way, long, path. And, we all had water bottles and stuff. And they said, no, no, leave them in the bus. Okay. And, just walk, carry a little bit. Okay. And then you walk there and the bus will meet you at that other end. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, okay. So forget, okay, not mine, some other trip. Okay. Some just general. Okay. Made up. So the children are supposed to go there. And when they reach there, the bus has not arrived. Okay. And there
Okay.
is no cell phone. This is like 30 years, 40 years ago. No cell phone, nothing. They're like, what to do? They're very thirsty, very thirsty. They don't have anything. There's no water. They're far away. Fields also they've passed, and other things are gone. Okay. And they're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Oh, guys, let's hope the bus comes. It'll come soon. What do we do? A teacher in charge is like, what to do? What to do? Okay. And they're wondering, they're, talking amongst each other. Maybe one of us should walk there. And teachers say, okay, let the kids be. I'll walk there, whatever, right? And suddenly somebody sees, there's a little hut, which was closed earlier. And comes. See, had a little
Yeah.
dhaba.
Oh,
प्लीज प्लीज पानी दे दोगे पानी बेटा पानी लिमका है पानी अभी अभी है नहीं वो आएगा वो बट लिमका है so it's okay limca now imagine that first bottle of chilled limca the
yeah, that would be like
what will you
really
feel like
refreshing when it was.
it'll feel like heaven right you're dying
Exactly.
and the uncle ji says बेटा 30 रुपए की है 40 रुपए की so uncle लीजिए मुझे दीजिए you
Hmm.
were willing to pay 100 rupees for that limca right good,
Yes.
because you were dying, right? But your utility in that, how much? So just give a number, okay? So suppose I say that whatever is your utility, whatever you think it's worth, you'll obviously not pay more than that, right? But if you can get it for less than that, but let's just say, forget about the numbers. Just suppose you give a number to the utility that you get from the first, from the first bottle, okay? So let's say price of Limca, okay? So let's say that you have some utility, okay? Then do you think the second bottle, you're very thirsty, they're small bottle, okay. Forget about the 50 rupee, they were 20 rupee bottles, okay? You had the first one, you're still a bit thirsty, right? Do you think they have the second bottle also? Just
Yeah,
not
they
have
would.
okay. You've been thirsty. It's
Yeah, then,
100 ml, right?
yeah.
So you have another one, right? Okay.
Yes.
Maybe in a third. And think of this instead as water. Okay. So there's small, small bottles of chilled water, right? Those little ones that you get for 10 rupees. Okay.
Yeah.
The first one, though, you just gulp it down, you don't like, oh. Then the second one, the third one, then you say, oh, give me one. I just sprinkle it on my face also, right? So what happens at a given point in time, if you're consuming a good, and it's not some large cake, small, units which, maybe you could have a little bit more of small units, for example, or, it doesn't work. I mean, like a car, right? I mean, you're not going to buy a second car in the same day for the same year, right? But again, so what happens is it is called utility, and what we are looking at is marginal. I had the first bottle. It was the price of that bottle was 10 rupees. I was willing to pay 150, 200 for it because it was dying. Okay. Then the next bottle, I'm still thirsty, right? So I say,
Yeah.
oh, the utility of that first, so I'm willing to pay, but the utility I got from that was whatever amount. I'm not giving it a number. But the second bottle will give me little bit less happiness than the first one. Do you agree? That first sip of
Yeah.
then I'm still thirsty, because I've been out in the desert for like 4 hours. So I'll have a third bottle also because it's only this small, right? So the third bottle also gives me happiness, but not as much as the first one, not as much as the second. So what we do in economics is we record the utility. Again, it's a concept, okay? Not we don't have to give it numbers necessarily anymore. Earlier economists would look at that, okay? We say, is it going down? So what we're looking at is each additional unit that I'm purchasing, is my happiness or utility or the useful going up or going down? So I've, on a particular day, I've had a bottle of water that gave me so much of happiness. That was the marginal unit. That was the first unit. Then the
Okay.
next unit, once I've consumed the first unit, the next unit when I consume, the second unit is the marginal unit. Then when I've consumed the second unit, the third unit becomes the marginal unit. Because I am trying to decide, should I buy the first one? Okay, I bought it. Now, should I buy the next one? Okay, I bought it. Should I buy the next one? So in economics, the way it is currently taught, okay, we are using the marginal concepts, okay. Everything will be, should I buy one more? Should I buy one more? Should I produce one more? Should I work one more hour on my math assignment? So that's what it is, okay. And that's
Yes.
how we are taught that we think, okay. Now, whether it is true or not, I'm not going to that, okay. That's a whole other discussion, okay. So what we have in economics is we are looking at utility, okay, and then we are looking at marginal utility, okay. Now we understand what marginal means? One
Yes.
more unit, one more unit. And what we are concluding or saying from observation is there is something known as diminishing. So as we have more and more of something, each gives us less utility than the previous unit.
Okay.
So I remember once, we were living in Yamunanagar, Jagadri, right? And we had a big factory, and our neighbors also had a big factory. Our gate was on one end, theirs was the other. So our gates were very far apart, but we had a wall in common. So one day
Yeah.
the neighbors had invited us for a party. We all went over. And then we came back and we were sitting in our garden. We could hear what was going on in the next plot. Okay. And what they had done is the party was there, and on the wall that was nearest to our house, on the
Yeah.
shared with them, the Coca-Cola stand was there. Okay. Coca-Cola, Limca, whatever
Yeah.
cold drinks were there at that time. And that was where the thing had been put. Okay. And we could hear some young kids, okay, they could hear from their voice, they sing Kitni Pi Tune, So now,
Hmm.
because they are not being monitored right now by the adults, right? So they're
Yes.
going berserk on the Coca-Cola. Okay? So
Yeah.
one says कि मैंने 10 पूरी पी, 4
Oh.
आधी पी और 3 को मुंह लगा दिया. You know? Because they're so happy that they got unlimited Coca-Cola because nobody was
Yeah.
them. Now they thought they'll drink 100, right? Obviously, right? Because
Yes.
they never got one, maybe they got one a week, maybe once a month, beta party mein milega. Now they have so much, and they themselves can't believe it. They had to stop drinking after a while. Because each one, they start getting full. But they don't want to
Yeah.
stop. Because they're like, my God, I'm going to have more. But the body is telling them enough. Okay? So this
Okay.
is what they came up with. इतनी आधी पी इतनों को मुंह लगाया मतलब कि I could do it, right? So that's it. Okay. So this was the story. So basically for us, we have diminishing marginal utility. All right. For many
Yeah.
things, there are some exceptions to this rule. We can discuss that at some other stage. Okay. But typically for most goods and services, each additional unit gives you less happiness or utility than the consumption of the previous one, right?
Okay.
Which is why for an individual
Yes.
might buy, suppose you people who are very fond of shoes, okay? Like,
Yes.
suppose they'll say, some Nike or Jordan or whatever, I don't know, right? They'll say, oh my God, mom, I love those shoes. I bought a pair, my grandmother paid for it, okay? That's it,
Okay.
okay? 10,000. But if the price were a little bit less, they might buy one more. They're not paying
Yeah.
10,000 for a second pair because they already have one, no? But a second
Yes.
pair would be nice, maybe, so their friends know, whatever it is, right? So we say that the demand curve for an individual, good or service is downward sloping.
Yeah.
Why? Because of diminishing marginal utility.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we look at the market demand as a whole, what we can come up with is interpreted in a different way, that there are different people with different willingness and ability to pay. So if something is 10,000 rupees,
Hmm.
some people will buy. But that same thing, if it is 8,000 rupees, that person who's willing to pay 10,000 would have bought for 8,000 also. But maybe an additional person is willing to buy it for 8,000. So now the quantity
Oh,
dependent for the product will be 2. Do you see?
yes.
But if you're looking at a market, okay, we'll find another way to make the market demand curve. And what we're doing currently is something called microeconomics, okay? So basically, as opposed to macroeconomics and other types, so in micro, what we do is we start with an individual
Okay.
person, individual firm, and then we say if there are 10,000 such people, what will be the conclusion? Okay, 10,000 such identical, similar, or other.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we have something called macroeconomics,
We,
where we will say overall in economy, how much is the economy wanting to buy? Overall in economy, how many people are employed? Okay,
okay.
but that is a different way of looking at the world. Okay, completely different, and so that is there. So we are starting with this. Is everything clear so far?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go and now let's do one. Okay, just give me 1 second. So today we started with demand. Okay, so we've done the concept of ceteris paribus. Okay, ceteris. Okay, paribus. Okay. Okay, we've done individual demand curve. Okay, ceteris paribus. Okay, so we've done the
Yes.
demand schedule. Okay, and we've done the demand curve. Okay, demand curve. And then we discussed the concept of individual demand curve. Okay, demand curve. Okay. Then we've looked at change. in quantity demanded. And we've looked at diminishing marginal utility. Okay. And we've done the demand curve and we've discussed why the downward sloping demand curve is there. What does it mean? Downward sloping demand curve. Okay, we've looked at a couple of more things. Is there anything else that we did today?
I think this is it. The Limca example.
Yeah, so Limca diminishing marginal utility,
Oh, okay.
right? So that was the idea that you have more and more units. And I
Yes.
think we did the Limca example. We can put that down. Limca example to illustrate the concept of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, Limca and then water or Limca example to show that. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this is it. Anything else we've done?
No, this isn't. I think this is it.
This is it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to end the recording. Okay.
And then I have to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay.